Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Not just ladies, of course the gentlemen as well. Of course, here to the $3 minimum 4v4 variant taking place here on February 1st. It's getting closer to February 2nd as time begins to tick on, but still, we are currently hopping in the quarterfinals for tonight's tournament, of course, between VexX Gaming and Suns. Deeming them Suns, even though it's called Pembsons, which is, I guess, Pemby and his group of followers. Not exactly sure, but still, just from calling them Suns, I think it's just more fair to say. As Lyric shoots every single bullet out of his PPSH, his team is off to a hot beginning here. Of course, the guys on VexX have been a squad that have definitely caught my eye initially since the beginning of this kind of roster forming up with one another. I know Lyric and I believe it was Vicious, or no, excuse me, it was Lyric and Rampy who actually played under Mentality at CWL NOLA, ends up having, I believe, like a top 48 finish at that tournament. So definitely a squadron who played pretty well. And like I said, when it comes into tournaments nowadays, especially at major like LAN tournaments, like a top 48 placement is actually pretty solid. Like in the back of the day, it was like, oh, you placed like top 64, you placed top 48. Like, okay, you're an amateur. Like nowadays, it's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Like you had to beat some really solid teams to get that particular placement. As speaking of such, they are currently off to a 52-0 lead. As that's definitely one to be bringing up. By no means are the guys on Suns having success at the moment, as they've yet to get a second on the board, and you see Phantomz right now having quite a few problems of just trying to get toward the backside of the spawn, just because there's always a wave of VexX Gaming players there in their way. But still, Pemby, Foncho finding a few, but Brack is there to kind of spoil the party as he's able to drop one. And still, no time on the board for Suns and having any success whatsoever. And we kind of discussed both these groups, right? It is a matter of, as the first point nearly goes on board, as it looks like they're actually going to go the first two hard points scoreless. I was really kind of pointing out, looks like they're going to get 1 second, but it was like about a half a second, which doesn't actually count. But still, though, I mean, when we're looking at both of these kind of teams, one of them obviously is an organized group. Of course, VexX Gaming, of course, the Rampy, Brack, Vicious, and Lyric. That's actually a solid team. But when we talk about Suns, I believe Pemby and Phantomz are actually still a part of the Mad Gamers group, along with Glory and Profizi. And Zynx and Foncho are actually kind of off by themselves, playing for different groups as well. So this isn't a full group by any means. This isn't a full roster, but still, you like to imagine they'd be putting up a better fight than this, at least off the break. Literally an 80-second lead after 3 hard points. And Vicious is not slowing down. 4 spree for him. Literally 45 points away from that mortar strike. And things aren't about to get any easier. The glide from above takes out at least one. They are just off to a dominant beginning right now. 6 make it 7-0 start for Vicious. I say 7-0. I'm going to say 7 spree for him. Just absolutely going off right now when it comes into Castle Road. And this is really the only kind of hope if you're the guys on Suns right now. I mean, this is the money hill of this map, and you completely let the enemy break into your setup and grab a majority of that time. And this is one that they are not going to get back. Of course, rotations can come and go as Vicious gets the teammate there onto Lyric, but I mean, generally, they're going to come and go, but you have to be on those rotations. You have to be there early because the guys from VexX, they already have a big advantage, not just because of the scoreline total, but because they have unlimited streaks. Like, they have plenty of streaks to rock when it comes to the future hardpoints and future rotations. So you got to imagine that they're going to be kind of holding on to those, if not utilizing those, when it comes down to Castle Road next time around. But still, 70-second lead. As I want to kind of talk about the guys on VexX a little bit, though. I know I was kind of discussing for a moment Lyric and Rampy, of course, from Mentality, and Lyric and Vicious, or excuse me, Brack and Vicious. I've been able to actually watch Brack play quite a bit in our tournaments. This guy, to me, is definitely one that I've had my eye on a lot so far throughout this game. I don't remember exactly all the teams that he's played for necessarily. I'm not sure if he's really kind of gone with like a solid organization, but really the only thing I know about him is that at least in online tournaments, he is a Dawn at Respawn. Right now, of course, having a pretty slow start, 3-8, but still, he's a very solid player, very good when it comes down to the FG42, especially the kind of that main assault rifle role. Very solid player. It's kind of hard to find kills when you've got teammates who are obviously playing the way that they are, but generally, VexX right now, I think if Brack wasn't having a strong, or was having a if Brack was having a strong performance, I don't think that the guys from Suns would probably have a point on the board at this point. So with that in mind, that's probably like they're only hoping is that Brack just continues to struggle at this point. But still, though, looking on this group of VexX is known. And like I said, I believe they had a pretty strong performance, I believe, when it came down to the recent, I think it was 2K Challenge. I don't want to say that's what it was called. I can't remember the exact name. I think it was the Pro League Challenge, what it was called. They ended up taking Optic Gaming to a Game 5 Round 11, which, of course, is a very impressive feat just to take a map off the guys on OG, but literally saw the last round possible and ended up losing that series. But still, I mean, if you're talking about a group who went that far with a team like Optic, you've got to imagine that there's something special about them. And like I said, this is a very solid team, at least when it comes down to the hardpoint and search and destroy game, from what I've been told from their coach Phoenix. But looking on, though, we're talking about the guys on Suns. Of course, we talk about Pemby, we talk about Phantomz. Not too familiar with Zynx. I want to say that he's more of a search and destroy player, if my mind serves me correct. Could be wrong about that. Could be absolutely wrong about that. But I've been able to actually watch Foncho. Actually, I was able to cast over him on LAN, where him and Pemby were actually prior teammates on Rogue. I believe with like Johnny and whatnot, they ended up playing at UMG Orlando 2017. And I believe ended up finishing second at that tournament. But still, though, obviously prior teammates. They have a little bit of the chemistry. I'm sure that's probably there. And Phantomz is also a guy that I actually have had on my radar for since actually one of the first 2 tournaments that I saw him in. He was just dominating with the assault rifle. He was a player who was kind of on the cusp of joining the Evil Within roster, kind of before the fact that Pemby joined the team, kind of post-Nihil, along with Glory and Profizi. He was kind of the main assault rifle player. I know that I think it was Profizi actually had spotted him at a local LAN and was like, this guy's actually pretty good. I might actually want to play with him in some search and destroy tournaments, and they actually ended up adding him as their 4th, as he just realized that he was a pretty consistent player and is one to not mess with by any means. So it's really kind of the FG battle when it comes down to this match. I think where Suns are really going to have to rely on bringing themselves back into this match is really kind of relying heavily on both Phantomz and Pemby to kind of bring things back, because right now they are struggling, to say the least, in every sense of the word, down by 100 seconds. And with 3 down, rotation being made toward Castle Road, the setup gets broke yet again. And Vex are thriving, to say the least. Vicious right now, 27-11. Literally going on a tear. Not having any issues whatsoever. As I believe, along with Vicious, I think he was a guy who played for Merkin toward the beginning of World War II. They by no means saw any success. I think they had like a top 112 placement, or it was like top 100 placement, I want to say, at Dallas. And they were quick to obviously want to reestablish that roster. But at least in online play, this guy Vicious is just unbelievable to watch at times in respawns. I've seen him drop high numbers with any roster that he's been with. I think really has a solid potential to be a very good player with any group that he plays with. And like I said, when it comes to the respawns, this team is just definitely very, very scary as they're making this game, this map, look easy. And this is by no means an easy opponent. I mean, this is a very solid group, one that I kind of pointed out and really wanted to see for a reason, as Rampy picks up a few on a near 4 spree right now, trying to pick off the back of the Zynx. As Lyric probably is going to be there for the trade. Rampy unfortunately gets a nade stuck to his forehead. But Lyric is there to kind of pick up the pieces. Speaking about streaks, though, Rampy kind of tins one off there to Lyric, who's now nearly on a 5 spree. Foncho's there to seal the deal. But, I mean, really, this one's kind of done. It's kind of sad to say that, but this one is done. I mean, it was a matter of rotations that were obviously made. Rampy 25-18, Vicious 28-12, Lyric 21-16. I feel like the match is actually like at 250, but I mean, it's nearly there. Like, it's just a matter of just how long is it going to take and how many seconds can Suns get up, as they thankfully do get 4 down. So maybe a little bit of positives toward the end of this match. Maybe the weapons aren't firing as good as they'd preferably like to, as they could be a little bit slow off the break. And from search and destroy, though, we'll obviously see how they do perform. It's going to be difficult when it comes into St. Marie du Mans, but curious to see their performance when it comes down to that game mode. And I haven't really heard too much of Rampy. I know I've kind of talked about Brack, Vicious, and Lyric quite a bit, but I haven't really heard of Rampy too much. I know he was obviously on Mentality with Lyric, like I said a little bit earlier, but interested to see these guys play. I'm really interested in this kind of Vex Gaming group in total, just because you kind of talk about all 4 of these guys. Probably a few of you guys have probably heard of Lyric in the past. I know he was on like DT back in Black Ops 3 and maybe even prior to that, but this team, they're scary, man. They are very frightening to watch as they kind of dominate their way through Gibraltar. And there's only less than 10 seconds left here on Fort Courtyard, as the final push could be made here from Suns. Foncho in the back lines tries to get something going, but it's just not going to happen. It's not there. As map number 1 finishes off in a dominant way, to say the least, 250 to 110, with all players from Vex having a strong showing, but no stronger than this man, Rampy is. Take a look at this bronze star. Take a look at this Bronze Star. Does he actually shut down Phantomz? I'm not exactly sure. That bullet might have been a little bit delayed, but still, ends up finding at least 3 or 4 there. Of course, Rampy finishes off 30 and 21. Vicious 30 and 15. Double positive. You take a look at the numbers, the consistency of the hills, the defense coming in from Rampy as well. Just overall destruction that was shown. Granted, Brack doesn't have the greatest of games, but like I said, if Brack probably doesn't have a slow game, if he kind of plays consistent with his group, I would say probably Suns gets like 8 seconds. So that's obviously a little bit of a positive if you are the guys from Suns. At least one guy didn't really go off in that match. But generally, it was the guys from Vex who were just kind of playing solid hardpoint. And I think it is obviously they do have an advantage coming into the series just because they are a group who obviously is a team. Like, they're used to the communication. They're getting some practice from this. If you're Suns, you're like, hey, like, we're trying to get some practice, but like generally we're two kind of splits off. Like, we have like Pemby and Phantomz as a team. Zynx and Foncho kind of off by themselves as well. So they're not really like a full group. So they're kind of trying to form some roles. Like, hey, who wants to run the assault rifle for this map, et cetera, et cetera. So Suns definitely kind of are at the disadvantage in this series. But like I said, Vex, that was pretty scary to watch. I've been very kind of wanting to watch this team play in a lot of our tournaments, and they've been playing in Search and Destroy and Respawn tournaments alike, and we've finally been able to kind of watch them in full force, and they did not disappoint by any means. So the St. Marie Dumont up next here from Search for some Search and Destroy. I was actually taking a look at some of the maps that Vex had actually taken versus Optic, and I believe that they took, I want to say it was USS Texas Search and Destroy and St. Marie Hardpoint. It's not Search and Destroy, so we're not going to see any kind of revisit any of those maps, but still, though, St. Marie Dumont Search and Destroy should be an interesting one to watch when we talk about the kind of offense to defense kind of separation between the two. Offense, a lot of the time, does have the advantage, even with the kind of the spawn change. Curious to see if we get to witness kind of more of those A pushes toward the opposite side or whatnot, as it does make offense a little bit more entertaining and more exciting to watch, to say the least. But first pick, snipers can definitely be a factor. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the $300 minimum 4v4 variant, of course, taking place here on February 1st. We're hopping in toward map 2 of our current quarterfinal matchup, taking place between Vex and Suns. Sons of Pemby, Pemby Suns, whatever you really want to call them. Despite that, they did have a struggle, to say the least, when it came down to hardpoint Gibraltar, only putting up 110 seconds, of course, to the guys on Vex's 250. So trying to get some momentum back, trying to get some positives under their wing as Lyric goes for the quick drop shot onto Zynx. The initial start to this round begins with the guys from Vex making an off-site push toward A, one that's not prone, one that we're not used to seeing at all. It looks like there's a smoke that's tossed toward mid-cut. Yeah, just toward the left side. So I want to say that's probably tossed from Vex. They're trying to limit the line sights from top red. That's a beautiful kind of play to use. That's not one that's normally used, or kind of utilized, excuse me. And you see Phantomz kind of in an awkward position, quickly finding himself in a 1v4. Of course, FG42 in hand does not spot the barrel from Lyric. And unfortunately, his kneecaps and calves will be shot to bits. That's kind of unfortunate. But Lyric, of course, there with the final pick. And like I said, when it came to round 1, Vex, off the start, I mean, they're quick to show their strategies. That's one thing that I really enjoy about watching teams kind of make an offside hit for round 1, because the back of the defense's mind throughout the rest of their Search and Destroy rounds being on that side of defense, they're always worried that, hey, they're going to make an offside push. Like, there's an ability where they can kind of make something like that happen. And obviously goes to show that they're not by any means scared to pull out an offside strat. And so for future defensive rounds, be looking out for the guys on Suns to be putting a few more toward A, but it looks like now on offense, they're going to be making the exact same push as now the guys from Vex need to have that top red position. As Foncho goes for the plant, they go for the immediate challenge, but Lyric is not able to find anything. Finding the hat trick in round number 1. Is now going to leave him in an awkward position. This is a spot where it looks like player number 8, Pemby, likes to sit in quite a bit of the time, but Lyric is there to shut him down. So 4-0 start for Lyric, 2-0 beginning for Vicious, as they're here on the retake. And you see Lyric, smart play, clearing out backside winery, getting a little bit of an idea as to where these frontal players could be lingering. It's just like that, 2 fall. Lyric has to shut down his teammate Rampy. He says, I'm the only one who's going to maybe, I was going to say, try to say flawless, but Vicious is still up. They've not died yet. So 7-0 beginning for at least 2 players on the side of X, is they're looking good. Looking very good. They retake this site. They kind of watch over the back lines inside of winery. And I'm very interested to see what they're going to do on this next offense. It wouldn't surprise me if they just kind of typically go to B and kind of make a push, but I love that kind of card in the back pocket. Whenever we need to use it, we can go toward A. And you see player number 5 in the back lines, of course, Zynx, always wary that they could be making a push. But Lyric, he could play spoiler here. Despite dropping 2 teammates early, they can make a comeback happen, and they've done exactly that. Vicious response for the second kill of this round. Lyric's going crazy on the bomb. And now Zynx and Phantomz kind of huddled up here inside of top red as what seemed like a very solid start from the guys on Suns have quickly turned into their demise. However, Phantomz finds one. Vicious could find the second. They can't body stack like that. But despite losing that engagement, Vicious at least does secure a streak, so he's got to feel pretty confident in that factor. Despite dropping the third round, they at least have a 2-to-1 advantage with at least a glide bomb and probably a fighter pilot in the back pocket. I'm not sure if he did earn that second streak, so if we could actually take a look quickly at Vicious's point of view really fast. I'm curious, did he earn that second streak? Yes, he did, so does earn the second streak. In fact, 5-to-1 beginning for both him and Lyric. As it looks like on offense here for the guys on Suns, looks like a double, kind of a split push, 2-and-2 toward either bomb site. Player number 8 just kind of watching the flank that could be happening through mid, kind of try to catch someone off guard, but at least not going to spot anyone there for now. Zynx kind of holding an interesting angle here through mid-street, kind of backside mid-street really, with that Car 98K. Normally you see him kind of in that top winery building, but he's just below it. But speaking of buildings, Lyric watching over. He's found 2 out of the 3 first bloods so far in this match, and he wants to find the third. Spotting out Pemby. So nice trigger this one being used, but you see Pemby kind of peek back around. A smart play from Pemby as he tries to make Lyric think that didn't spot him and has the advantage. The FG42 versus PPSH at a long range. Even at close range at times, I'd probably pick the FG42. It's that good of a weapon. Foncho getting caught on the railing. Isn't able to go for the re-engagement, but has the bomb in hand and just waiting for his teammates to try to get some sight control, trying to get some map positioning, but as one player goes toward top red, Vicious does sacrifice his life. So 2v3 advantage right now for the guys on Suns, but that could quickly change. And Foncho actually walks right in front of his teammates as VexX explode onto this round. Rampy finding all 3 kills. There's 1, there's 2, and there is 3. Just when we start to think that the guys on Suns can get something, to get some momentum, Rampy is there to spoil the party, to stomp on all the decorations. Is back on offense here for the guys on VexX. It looks like Rampy could be making a mid-map push, but no, decides to kind of enter in back toward Phantomz. Does Foncho realize he's here? Okay, I was going to say, if Foncho does not check this topside position, callouts are not being given from Suns. That would have been a problem. But quick 4 down. And for Suns, that's some momentum, not that you need to have, but that you almost have to have. Like, you absolutely have to have that kind of quick round swing, because if you lose in the scenario that you were in, kind of having a 3v2 advantage, kind of pushing into the site, Foncho kind of walks forward, getting shot in the back by his teammate, not having the kind of filter for his squad mate to kind of not fire into his back. The prior round could have played a lot differently, of course, for round number 4. But looking on here, 1 round advantage right now for the guys on VexX. Suns, though, back toward the B-bomb site, as they've got to be wary of a top red position, which is exactly where Phantomz is watching. Zynx does find 1 off the break, and it looks like right now for the guys on VexX, kind of a standard play, kind of hanging out. And the reason why they're doing so is because they do have the fighter pilot in the back pocket, rocking the fighter pilot here. Do they find anything? Yes, the headshot, the last second one found on Pemby. A lot of frustration probably from Pemby and Suns, but Vicious finding 3 once the ace in the round. As I believe both him and Foncho have hat tricks off the start, and Foncho right now going for the quick plant. This is big. Probably a bigger round if you're in Foncho's case when it comes down to this scenario. Because, of course, if he does win this gunfight, he's probably about a kill away from streaks, which is exactly what you want. And does Vicious go for the defuse? It looks like he is trying to find a vantage point. Currently 8-3 right now, and is trying to go for the plant. I believe does pick it up to try to maybe get the sound cues forward, but Foncho falls. The streaks are denied, and just like that, a 4th round found from Vicious & Co. from the side of VexX Gaming. As closer and closer toward that map 2 closing. Vicious has just been going off in back-to-back maps. I think, what, does he finish? I think he finishes like what, like 32 and 16 or 30 and 15. He goes double positive in map 1, and now it's currently triple positive in the Search and Destroy. 9 and 3 start for this guy. Just on an absolute tear. Phantomz finds himself through mid map, and Brack is quickly and happily able to find that first blood. Second one found. Pemby lingering through bottom red. FG42 in that position. Probably not the preferred of the two, but Zynx, though. Some light at the end of the tunnel, quite literally inside of red. And speaking of red, that's all over his screen. Tries to get back. And it looks like a Rampy on the ball. That is so frustrating as a player because you know that you got the timing right. Because it's like in Zynx's position, he's like, oh, great, I can actually take out Rampy. But at the same time, Rampy, smart play to obviously be looking toward like kind of middle side while going for the plant. Does have the vision enabled and uses that bomb head glitch to his advantage. As Rampy and Vicious, kind of a dynamic duo. Playing very, very well in back-to-back maps. 5-2 advantage right now in Search and Destroy. Suns, what can you give me? What can we do? Father is not proud. Pemby is not happy right now. He's trying to take the game back into his own hands. Nice pick up there from Foncho. Because they desperately need to get this bomb down. They have to be wary. And at any moment, a streak could come forward, but it looks like for the opposite end, no one does have it. Rampy goes for the quick rush. And does find one, so Brack now 1v2 for the map as well as the series. Can he get things done? Had a slow performance in map 1 and not having the best games here in map 2, but it's kind of difficult when your teammates are playing the way that they are. Pemby does greet him with the nade, and now Brack in the scenario knows the bomb is down, so he knows where both players are. And yeah, so if you're Brack, you want to kind of watch toward that close right corner. That's what Pemby's kind of banking off, the fact that he's going to check that corner at any moment. Goes for the initial challenge. Probably going to see Pemby try to go for a jump. But they're playing this one out well. But keep in mind, Brack is able to drop one. He jumps down, but here comes Pemby. Pemby's going for the rush. Can Brack get it done? No! Not able to find it. But that is way closer than it should have been. I think it's fair to say. I don't know why Pemby jumps off this kind of top position. He's able to spot the bomb, but despite that, though, Brack, very, very well played. Props. That's all I can say in this scenario. Literally a 1v2. He's got two different players staring at his exact same position, and that's just great awareness from Brack in total, being aware of where that player was kind of firing Pemby through top red, and the player's obviously in kind of back archway. So with that, though, third round gain for the guys on Suns. As Vex back on offense, we've seen them kind of push toward the A site quite a bit of the time. And it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they did make the kind of rush back toward B. However, they go for the early aggression. Will it work out is the thing. And it looks like a Rampy on the bomb site. Player just toward his right, going for the plant, and does not have a teammate to watch over him right now. So in very scary waters, to say the least. But Phantomz ends up following, and I believe, is that Rampy who finds the final two? Is Rampy, oh my god, Rampy actually finds both. He shuts down Phantomz. Oh. And shuts down Zynx as well. He had some teammate support. So I was like, don't tell me that Rampy literally just turned on the second player. But with that, an exclamation point to close out this map along with this series as Vex quite literally walk over Pemby and co. from the side of Suns as they win Search and Destroy here. 6-3 along with a 2-0 scoreline. As Vicious and Rampy both finish off here at 10 total kills, 20 and 10 combined. Of course, double positive and Search and Destroy by two players. Obviously very, very impressive. But, of course, we're able to look at here at the overall kind of round scoring, or the kind of the round scoreboard, essentially is kind of what it is. But, of course, we see Vex here off the break. Had a very strong beginning as they were up 5 rounds to very, very early on, and were kind of able to ride that momentum into kind of winning a few rounds in quick succession. Of course, you see kind of 2-1-2, a split where they were kind of getting some momentum on their side. We kind of talked about the initial round 1 play where the guys on Vex went toward the A-bomb site, one that was not typical whatsoever, but they're able to make it work. And I think also maybe I think it was round 1 or round 2, they also tossed the smoke. I'm going to say it was actually round 1. So what they do is they kind of toss that smoke through kind of like the mid-cut area toward the A bomb site, kind of to lookout post. And what that's trying to do is kind of limit the guys inside of top red, because when you're on defense and a plant's going down on A, if you don't have enough kind of members to kind of watch through back farm or kind of whatever that kind of call it you really want to give, if you don't have anyone there, the defense is really relying on someone to be in top red to kind of watch over A, just in case like if a push were to happen. It's not very often, but it can happen from time to time. So Vex kind of banking off the fact that, hey, they're probably going to be expecting us to kind of go B off the start. That's what's typical, especially in Search and Destroy. When you're kind of playing against a team that you're not really familiar with, you kind of want to make a typical hit, trying to get a little bit of information from the team, get a little bit of an idea, kind of test the waters, what's really to be expected. Let's just try to make a kind of a normal round hit. But for Vex, they're like, no, we're going to go toward A. We're going to try to get the early strategies kind of underway off the start, which I'm personally a really big fan of. And once they do that, they get the bomb down quick. No one's expecting it. They start to receive some shots. I think there was a player in top right. It might have been Phantomz who did have the FG42. His vision immediately kind of gets limited once that smoke goes down because he has no vantage point. They're a man down if you're in the favor of Suns right now, and they don't really have any push to really get made. So I was really a big fan of Vex's kind of offensive execution from time to time. We talk about Rampy and Vicious's performance, though. I mean, their guns were hot. Their PPSHs were just on fire throughout this series as they were just kind of playing the objective very, very well. We talk about Brack kind of in that last one of the last few rounds, nearly getting a 1v2. I mean, they're feeling confident. They're feeling all the confidence in the world after having a very strong start to Gibraltar. I think along with talking about the Search and Destroy, how this one obviously played out, Gibraltar, they were up like, what, 70-0 or something like that? I mean, the first two hard points, the guys in Suns didn't get a single second. And I want to say that they made the rotation toward Castle Road, which, of course, is the third hard point of the rotation for Gibraltar, and they get like 8 seconds, and then they immediately get broke. It was just like they couldn't really establish a setup, and I'm not sure if it was just the factor of Suns maybe not working well together, if the roles just weren't there. But I think the combination of that, along with the guys on Vex, who have been playing very solid when it came down to obviously online 2Ks. We were kind of heading into the series discussing the Pro League Challenge, where they obviously faced off against Optic Gaming. Took them to a Game 5, Round 11. So, and obviously should be an interesting one to watch to see how the guys from Vex obviously do progress when it comes down to this match. But I believe I've been told that it's GGEA Blue versus, who is the second team producer? Big Beams, I think. That's okay. I heard that correctly. I just wanted to make 100% sure that was the team name. But we're going to be having GGA Blue make their name, of course, here in their semifinal matchup, I believe. So with that in mind, though, Vex kind of walk away here with a hot 2-0 victory. Very curious to see their performance when it comes down to the latter part of this tournament.
I feel out of place. The roads aren't the same.